Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Forza Horizon 3 with the latest patch on the GeForce GTX 1050 2GB for FPS margin. This time I won't be using CAM, since this is a Universal Windows application and CAM is not currently working with this, so I'll be using MSI Afterburner instead. And if you're enjoying the content, consider supporting the channel on Patreon, link down in the description. So Forza Horizon 3, I'll be doing 1080p, 900p and 720p. To skip none of those sections of the video, check the description below. So in this video, in comparison to the GTX 1050 Ti video, I'll be only using the G4560, since I didn't see as many GPU usage drops, which meant that the CPU was limiting the GPU. In this case, it wasn't as bad, so I just kept the G4560. I wasn't able to hit 60 frames per second constant on this GPU, even by lowering the settings to the minimum and using a better CPU like an i7-4790. Maintaining 60s was pretty much impossible, and I had some variable frame times every now and then, plus a warning saying that I have low video memory, which always happened to me on 2GB video cards playing this game. So what I did here was just doing those three resolutions I mentioned, 1080p, 900p and 720p. First I'll show you 60 frames per second ish configurations for each resolution, which is pretty much the same configuration, since outside of that I wasn't able to hit 60s. Then I'll just crank up the settings as much as I can and try to be over 30 frames per second. But in this case, since the card is only 2GB, I had to lower the environment texture quality to low, static geometry quality to medium, and on some high resolutions like 1080p, I had to lower world car level of detail, since that uses VRAM too. So across the whole video, environment texture quality, static geometry quality and dynamic geometry quality will remain the same. Those are the ones that use more of the VRAM, since anything over that on any of those options led me to a lot of stuttering due to the low VRAM. The game still needs more VRAM with the options that I selected, especially on the second part that I test 1080p. You'll notice that since the RAM usage spikes a lot, that's because due to the lack of VRAM, it tries to compensate using system RAM. Using the GTX 1050 Ti, this didn't happen. The RAM usage wasn't as high, so I recommend using more than 8GB of RAM if you have a 2GB video card on this game. That will lessen the amount of stutters, so you should have a better experience using more than 8GB of RAM using a 2GB GPU. So far the game is playable. You'll see it on the 60 frames per second configurations, runs fine with some drops every now and then, but still manageable. And on the 1080p ultra-ish settings, I'll show you first this race with all those cars on screen. So that's a hit to the GPU and CPU. And then I'll show you one place that I had a lot of issues due to the lack of VRAM, which is one race that is against a train. And you'll see that there the VRAM spikes to 1949 megabytes and the RAM usage can go up to 8GB, so it goes over the VRAM and RAM limit. That's why I recommend more than 8GB of RAM for this game using 2GB video cards. And you'll also notice on that train race quite a lot of stutter, but that was the only race that I had that issue at. That's why I tested the other ones with many cars on screen, since that was using the CPU and GPU. This one uses less CPU, so it wasn't stressing both things, so it wasn't stressing as much on the CPU. While going into the open world and all that kind of stuff, or against normal cars, it shouldn't be as bad as the train scene. I showed that to be just a worst case scenario, in case you were wondering. It only happened on the 2GB video cards. On the 1050 Ti, the drops in the frame rate weren't as big. And that was what I wanted to say, so I hope you guys keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.